Issue 41. We start out right in the middle of the action to the point where I wondered if I had missed some issues. Sonic dives right into Eggman's base with a rope attached to him and says that all that he needs to do to get what he came for and run. Sonic runs back to Sally and Jeffrey is there too, and he proceeds to immediately reveal that he's still in a rivalry with him and quick to argue with him. So I find this character conflict entertaining, unlike with Hamlin and him, because Sonic's doing this out of an inexplicable love for Sally rather than a petty grudge. Sally interrupts them as mediator, and it's finally explained what is going on. As I had suspected, it's a continuation of the Zone of Silence plot. Rotor says that he had stopped the Zone of Silence from collapsing last time, which we should have learned about earlier, giving everyone a chance to rethink about how to retrieve King Acorn. He says that using the component Sonic had gotten from Robotnik, they have the missing piece necessary to make the neutralizer work, which could let them both recover King Acorn and save the universe. Unfortunately, Sally has another one of her "I'm not weak, I must do this alone" rash moments, and insists on going into the dangerous Zone of Silence alone and defenseless. At least this is showing her to be flawed. Sonic and Jeffrey try to talk her out of it. When even Sonic is being the wise, cautious one compared to you, you know you're doing something wrong. Jeffrey and Sonic start fighting again, because Jeffrey thinks that Sonic is an amateur. I guess because he personally has been working with the spy organization for a good while fighting villains before Robotnik showed up. I don't get why Jeffrey would think Sonic's punch was weak though, unless Sonic was holding back, because, come on, if he really hit him at Sonic speed, he would have killed him. Why didn't Sonic point that out as an excuse then? Sally breaks up the fight again, and says that they have a job to do, and orders Rotor to open the portal. Rotor presents them with jetpacks so that they have a better and faster way of flying through the zone with little ground to stand on, although he's had to rush them out, so they could have some bugs to worry about. Gee, I wonder if they'll run into those bugs at the worst possible moment. I'm glad Sonic and Jeffrey talked Sally into letting them come with her, because you just know that if someone special powerless like her went into the Zone of Silence alone, she'd just get kidnapped. Granted, she can throw mud at the eyes of SWAT bots, but the Zone of Silence has bigger threats. For some reason, King Acorn senses their arrival, because he had psychic powers apparently. Why didn't he psychically know that Eggman was about to betray him and do something about it then? It makes sense to me that people here, like the inexplicably talking regular frogs, would accept him as their king so easily, if only because he was a king already. When one of the frogs asked him for some food, I was honestly expecting him to say no and punish him like Robotnik just for being a jerk, just to be a jerk, but instead they let him show a soft side by being magnanimous, a word his daughter would later use, and give them some food. Even if it is bones, I'm not sure how bones are edible. I know you can make bone broth, a soup, but how could they eat regular bones? Why would he think that that's a good food for them? Is that all they have? But yeah, this is pretty confusing how he apparently hallucinated seeing Sally, Jeffrey, and Sonic and thought Toad had disappeared. Is this a part of the sensing them? Well, it turns out that he's actually not hallucinating, but something special, different is happening, which will be explained later. That was needlessly confusing. It is explained later, though. But that does remind me of something I forgot to bring up last time we saw this guy. I guess the reason he's not questioning why Sally calls him father is because he assumes she's mistaking him for someone else. But they really should just have him say that instead of making him look deaf to her. Anyways, Nicole warns her friends of magnetic field fluctuations right before they shake them around. Nice version of her being a Duke's Ex Machina because she didn't get to be helpful at all this time. Not sure that's what magnetic field fluctuations do to people, but this is an alternate reality, slightly different physics, I guess. I'd ask why this universe isn't messing with Nicole's software, but it turned out they weren't actually in the Zone of Silence when they were in negative reality with her, so never mind. Sonic finds the helmet Sally's father was wearing when they last saw him, because he had taken it off for no reason. It's never explained why he took it off, but Sally assumes that it might be because he had died. Yeah, because if he dies, his helmet would be taken off, right? Not left there? Still doesn't make sense. Surprisingly, Sally's father shows up instantly after this. Oh wait, instead, it turns out that that's not what's really happening. What's really happening is that Sonic, Sally, and Jeffrey are watching what happened last time they met King Acorn, as if the Zone of Silence sort of exists outside of the flow time. I can understand that, but I still refuse to believe that just being in the zone of silence makes you stop aging, or objects stop naturally deteriorating with time just because they're in a different place. That just makes no sense. Corrosion and wear and tear would wear things down increasingly more and more regardless of where you live. They haven't explicitly stated that there's no aging in this place yet, though. Nicole gives a technobabble explanation of what's going on that she magically knows for some reason. It's somehow because Eggman had been doing experiments on the entire zone at once somehow just because he had a portal to it, and that affected its energy levels, causing reality to glitch out. Then she reveals intriguingly that they'll also be able to see events yet to come, which is why King Acorn had a hallucination of Sonic, Jeffrey, and Sally. What's up with his Tails? Why would Tails be here? So, does that mean the future is predetermined and unchangeable? Because just seeing the future happening might allow you to change it from the past. This window into the past situation allows them to see that some people had taken King Acorn into his sanctuary a while ago. I'm assuming when he had first come to the Zone of Silence and was all weary and miserable from being there instead of at his castle. That's a good point. Why can't they hear anything? Nicole somehow knows that the further back in time the event had taken place, the less real it seems. Is that why they can't hear anything? As I had expected, the people had been the same ones who had fitted King Acorn with armor and treated him like a king. Suddenly, Sally and Jeffrey disappear, and Sonic is faced with King Acorn, who insists that he's the master of this domain. Really, he's been made king of the whole world, just like that. Those Zone of Silence people were that willing to be subjugated to some random outsider who just happened to be a king somewhere. That sure was convenient and lucky for him. This place is a megalomaniacal genius's paradise. Is Eggman sure he wants to destroy this place? But then I'm confused again as it turns out that Sonic was never in that situation at all, and he's with Sally and Jeffrey, who are clutching on a rock, saying that the zone is collapsing. So did Sonic see a vision of the future? Nicole explains that everyone's jetpacks are of fuel, so Rotor didn't put enough fuel in them. You'd think that he would plan ahead and put in as much fuel as he possibly can, but I guess he underestimated how much fuel they need, or the fuel container can only hold so much fuel and he had filled them all up to full. Who knows? They're only able to refuel them if they access energy with a positive charge. You do realize that energy by definition is negatively charged, right? Because it runs on electrons? Like, wouldn't positive energy be the opposite? Unless it's like nuclear energy and it has to do with like positrons and stuff. I like how Jeffrey complains that they can't just run on anything, and it's arbitrarily inconvenient for them. It actually makes me forgive the story for this plot point. After it's pointed out that King Acorn's minions are heading into the whirlpool they're being sucked into, Sally remembers that conveniently the neutralizer is the source of positive energy. How would she know that? Shouldn't it be Rotor who know that technology stuff? King Acorn shows up overhearing their conversation and says that if they give that device to him, he may let them live, but otherwise no one will get out of here. Finally, that future situation we saw earlier plays out, and it's at least explained that he thinks Sally is just trying to confuse him into letting them succeed while he's distracted when she calls him father, as he tries to attack them with a flaming joust lance. Sonic punches him because he was trying to kill them, at least apologizing and lampshading that he might be in trouble with Sally for punching her own father. And Sally says that Jeffrey's using the neutralizer to power their jetpack, which could endanger the inhabitants of the zone. Jeffrey doesn't even say anything related to that, as if she had never said this in the first place, and just reassures her that he thinks Sonic will be fine. Wasn't he calling Sonic an amateur earlier? Why does he have so much faith in him now? Also, why is King Acorn calling Sonic a hero if he thinks that Sonic is the bad guy? It's bad writing to have the villains somehow know they're evil and that their enemies are heroes, because no one ever thinks like that. If he knew he was the bad guy, he wouldn't be acting like this, because he'd know he was doing the wrong thing, wouldn't he? Or either that or he's insane. Well, he is. We see Sonic get saved from another future situation by a version of himself from a different time, punching Acorn off his horse in a Chekhov's gun, and Sonic rides the horse up to Sally and Jeffrey, with even Jeffrey complimenting him that he's got style. That's pretty nice of him. Apparently, Sonic's punch had knocked him out and they were able to escape the Zone of Silence by carrying the unconscious King Acorn with them, which I didn't see coming. I didn't think they would save him that quickly. I thought they would drag out the Zone of Silence for another story by having them have to return here for him again. Somehow, you'll notice I've been saying somehow a lot in this issue. It's revealed that the citizens of the Zone of Silence are just fine, even though the neutralizer was used. How would Jeffrey know this? That better be explained. And the story will be continued in Sonic Quest. Why a special and not just issue 42? Usually specials start every 5 issues, don't they? This story was written by Ken Penders, and it was kind of confusing. I had to make a conscious effort to try to understand all the twists and turns and not get overwhelmed and frustrated with it. Just like the story where Eggman had returned from getting zapped with a laser by Eve, and I was really confused. Although it is at least justified because it takes place in a universe that is having reality collapse in on itself, meaning that an overflow of magic, or a breakdown in physics because of Eggman's experiments, which would bring about the same effects, an overflow of magic and stuff is causing all of these weird things to happen. I would say that the windows and time thing is pointless and just confusing, but it lets you a Chekhov's gun by getting Sonic saved by himself, so alright then. I just always hate it when they have the sort of Rashomon style, I think that's the word for it, where you see events out of order. It's just needlessly confusing to try to put things together. I'm glad Jeffrey was part of the story again, he's pretty alright. Bunny was missing from the story. Oh well, because she got sick from eating bad soup again. Serves her right for saying she'll murder Sonic in the previous issue with absolutely no remorse. Reminds me of the Fiona robot trying to drown Tails with no remorse earlier. Karma. I liked that they didn't let Sally take a dumb risk by going in here on her own. I'm really glad that we got another Zone of Silence story, and so soon at that. It's awful nice of the story to get the saving King Acorn from the Zone of Silence story all wrapped up so quickly, even if he's so crazy. My only qualm, other than the story being confusing, is that the ending fails to explain why the inhabitants of the zone aren't dead after the neutralizer was used in it, and why Jeffrey's so sure of this. Other than that, it was a pretty fine story. Much more enjoyable than that awful, depressing story arc earlier, by the most lighthearted writer at that. All that would have had to happen is if the characters were acting more in character for that story arc, and feeling sorry for Sonic and not getting him in trouble, and it would have been fine. There's a problem when your story arc makes Ken Penders' following story look amazing in comparison. I felt that this was a pretty good story, a pretty engaging adventure. So next up is Sonic Quest. I'm intrigued to see how this one will turn out.